Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this evening edition of the Female Solution Global Broadcast. I'm Naima Latif, and this is part six of a special six-part series entitled Service, Sharing Earth's Resources, Voluntarily Implementing Creative Exchange. And this is a system for those of higher consciousness who are ready to transition to the society of the future in which we will live without a need for money. It takes a system. And in parts 1 through 5, we've explained that system. And of course, you can go to the website at theserviceonline.org and perfect that which is going to free you forever from economic distress. We'll be right back after this quick break. So, we, as always, invite you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment. So, stay with us.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Yes, this is the Female Solution, and this is part six of Service, Sharing Earth's Resources, Voluntarily Implementing Creative Exchange. Now, what you may recall from parts 1 through 5 is that we have advised that you evaluate the people that you know, like, and trust to be part of that very special group called your service group. Those that you are going to exchange with, those who are going to create the foundation for your being able to live without worrying about how much something costs, because you have in fact created your own currency. And this is essential because ultimately we have always had the power to live as we lived before the institution of what we now call money. People traded, people bartered, people exchanged, and everyone got what they needed. Now, as more people inhabited planet Earth and life became a little more complicated, we had to think of more creative ways of designating what value means and how do you determine whether something is of equal value. And so there we have the symbols of value. In some places, something like cowrie shells. In other places, it might even be cattle. But there was always something that designated what something's worth was. A symbolic thing that you could trade. Sometimes it was the actual thing you needed, and sometimes it was something that symbolizes the worth of the thing you needed. There was a time when gold coins were that symbol of value. And then paper money representing gold coins. And then paper money not really representing anything but the projected gross national product of a nation, which is what the money system is based on now. And the Federal Reserve banking system that prints the money and distributes the money plays a central role in where that money gets distributed. And as money circulates from merchant to buyer, ideally, everyone would get a portion of it as it circulates, but we know that sometimes it doesn't quite reach the areas that are in great need. And so we end up with conditions of poverty. Poverty is an artificially created condition because there is food that is thrown away. And we see it all the time. You just go behind the dumpster at your favorite restaurant and you'll see food dumped in the garbage that they had to get rid of at the end of the day because you can't sell it. If you close down, you can't sell it the next morning because it's no longer fresh. So it becomes garbage. But for a person who's starving, it's life. So you have people that are literally going into the garbage to get food when in fact they could just be fed. Why aren't we just feeding them? Well, we've created all kinds of complicated reasons why we can't just share what's needed. And those reasons are insane. So those of us who have chosen not to live according to insanity are ready for service. And if you are one of those who realizes that it doesn't make sense to have waste when there is so much want, need, desire of people who have not been included in that money loop, then you know it's time for us to create something different. And thereby we have service. Sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. So last time we did speak about the process of keeping track of how your points that you're giving your service group members when there is something to be exchanged. And the good thing about this is that you have, if you have followed the steps in parts 1 through 5, you have gone about exchanging in a way that everyone feels they can trust the other members. Because it comes down to being able to be honest and also being transparent. So this is why transactions are performed through a group text because everyone sees what everyone has received, because based on what you have received from someone else, you then have the ability to give. So let's take a look at the examples given of that service group that you create. And you know how to do a group chain, a group text chain. It's very simple. And you call the chain something, and you therefore have identified what it is. And with just a tap on the phone, you get all of the members of the group. So we encourage you to continually grow. But of course, the first step in your service group is making sure all of those who are involved understand the principles. Because the principles are what drives it and what keeps it from becoming something difficult and something that would create any kind of conflict. The whole point is to change the motivation for why we do things with each other. Knowing that the motivation isn't how do I get more than this person, or how do I keep what I have and make them give me what they have. Honesty is paramount, but more importantly is the desire for the well-being of others. You desire to share that which is needed because you know that it's needed. And gratitude is the attitude that one who gives you points for what you're giving should have in their hearts. It changes the energy of exchange and removes the greed factor, the selfish factor, and instead it brings in the benevolence factor. The reason behind what we're doing is to enhance the lives of each other. Now, we could do that same thing with money, but as we've seen, the monetary system hasn't produced that kind of spirit. It has created a spirit of selfishness because too many people have been excluded in such a way that they feel a lack. They feel like they don't have enough. And so they don't share, they don't give. And it's that attitude of I don't have enough that has created the selfishness that now is often the energy behind our monetary exchanges. And so this is what has to change. And it can change with a system that allows a currency that everyone truly has. Everyone has service points because, as we pointed out in parts 1 through 5, service points are based on your existing possessions, which everyone has, possessions that you have and don't really use, but would be useful to someone else. And service points are based on the time that you give, the time that you give in providing work that someone needs. And as we explained in parts 1 through 5, everyone's time is worth the same amount of value. So those arguments of someone who is braiding hair being less valuable than someone who's repairing an engine in a car. Because if all things take time and your physical energy and your skills, 1 hour of one person's time is the same value as 1 hour of another person's time because all people are of equal value. And that is the premise that we operate from. So it's the understanding of the philosophy that is at the foundation. And this is why this is a system for higher conscious people. Because Earth is moving to a higher consciousness, but only those who are at the higher consciousness will benefit from the new systems being created that are devoid of the meanness that we now experience. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to take you through this process of exchange so that those people who are in your service group may then reap the benefits of your time, your talents, and your possessions that you have that you aren't using, but would be of great value to those who need them. So stay with us, and we will be right back after this brief message.
I'm walking by faith, I'm living by truth. I've opened my eyes, I'm living for you. Walking by faith, living by truth.
And we are back. I'm Naima Latif, and you are watching this Wednesday evening edition of the Female Solution Global Broadcast. And this is part 6 of Service, sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. And here in part 6, we are taking a look at how the system works. And this is important because this is one of the biggest steps, how you will go about exchanging those points that you have tallied up. And it's critical that your service group that you select are people that you know, like, and trust, so that this system is easily followed. But before we do that, we want to just take you through a quick review, because one of the things that is necessary is that all of the members of your service group understand how the system works, so that as they evaluate what they intend to do, they're able to honestly assess what they have to offer. So the first step 1, is to empower yourself with the knowledge that you have the ability to create your own currency. And you always had that power. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need anybody's approval. What you're using is a form of currency that everyone has. And one of the things that everyone has is time. So knowing this empowers you to then trade your time as currency. Those are part of your service points, what you do for people with your time and talents that they need. Step 2, name your possessions. Name the possessions you have but don't use, and you're going to take inventory of all of the things that you have that would be valuable to someone and don't use. And of course, we talked about that. So you may go back to part 2 and review that again, because that also makes up the totality of your service points. And If you look at this as currency, you realize how wealthy you actually are. Now, part 3 is to recognize the skills that you can offer to others. Because all of these are part of what you're going to be trading. And as you think about all the things you do, from the professional to the mundane, these are things that are valuable. And these are things that you are going to enjoy doing. So you're going to do what you enjoy for people you like. And when you look at all of the various skills that you have and the interests you have and the things that you can share, you'll see how very wealthy you really are. And then the next step, number 4, is to identify your friends. And we say, identify 5 friends that you know, like, and trust. So there are going to be 6 of you on that first service group chain in your cell phone. And these are people, as we've talked about, how you go about determining whether or not they're ready for such a bold step as to trade using currency that they themselves have created, and to honor the agreements that the group has made. Now, number 5, when you create your service group, that's a matter of creating the text chain that, in fact, is what you are going to use as pardon me, as you begin to trade and share. So you're going to create your service group on your phone, and you will entitle it My Service Group, as you can see here. You're going to create this chain, and what it involves, as you can see, this is each person's service group. You have the person's first and last initial and their 10-digit phone number. So you have these names under My Service Group. Very simple. So this is what you create, and we talked about how you go about determining people that you want to select for this group, people who have something to offer, people who are willing and able to do something, and people who have possessions that are of value. Everyone has something, but you do want to consider a variety of people that can bring a variety to the group. And as you expand the group, of course, we'll take a look at that. But this is important in establishing this, because this text chain is how you are going to track your transactions. And so this is important for you to make sure that you are checking your chain for the, whether it's daily or however frequently transactions occur. And this text chain is only for those transactions, not anything else, not gossip or anything else. It is simply tracking the transactions. So we're going to show you what that looks like. Now let's take a look again at this, because the next step in this process is to actually use your service group as a means of exchange. So number 6, which is today, you're going to help each other using service points as currency. And this is a very simple thing. So, and we've given the example here on the website. Say you have an extra toaster after 2 friends gave you toasters as a wedding gift. And you have a nice pair of new shoes that you no longer like wearing after you've worn them once. And maybe you have a nice comfortable chair from your old apartment that doesn't match your new furniture in your new home. Well, what do you do with the things that are good and useful that you no longer want? Well, they're worth service points, the currency your friends will pay for the things they want that you have. With these service points, you can get the things you need with other members of the group. So simply keep track of each transaction on your service group text chain. And we're going to show you how that works. So now, as you have taken inventory of your things and you have gone through the process of vetting those that you are going to include as your service group, now I want you to take a look at this list and look at the numbers on the list. So these are the people that are keeping a running tally of transactions that are occurring. So now let's take a look at a sample text chain from your service group entitled My Service Group. So this transaction, this list of transactions that happened, the date 1/15/26, and you actually will not need to type in dates every time something happens because your phone does that automatically. Whenever there's a text, it also comes with a date and time. So here you have, take a look at service member JL312-722-8811, gives service points. And now that is abbreviated by SP, very simple. Service points in the amount of 110 to service group member BF414-727-4315. So now BF414-727-4315 has 110 service points. Now BF414-727-4315 gives, of those 110 service points, it gives 100 to RT708-554-1998. Now, another transaction Group member LK602-528-4136 gives service points in the amount of 65 service points to RT708-554-1998. And then RT708-554-1998 then gives service points in the amount of 125 service points to MC773-215-0313. So each of these are transactions, and these service points represent value that is honored by the group. Now, it's not necessary to indicate exactly what items were exchanged in those details, but just that there were points exchanged. And of course, based on the amount of points, if you have 100 points from someone and someone else in the group needs something and you are going to pay points for them, well, you've got 100 points. And if what they are giving you is worth maybe 90 points, well, you've got 100, so you can give 90. And if someone else in the group gives them 50, well, they've got a total of 140 points based on this text transaction that you all honor and has value, just like you were exchanging Cash App. Same thing. Points that you're agreeing to honor because they represent value. And you become your own bankers, you become your own financiers, you become your own means of exchange because you are honoring the points that your group is exchanging for what you need. It's very simple. So the biggest task you will have is setting the foundation for that first group, because that first group is going to lay the groundwork for your expansion. And as each of you, after a period of time, get 5 more people that you know, like, and trust, then you will see that group expand. But we don't recommend that you do that right away, because it's going to take some time for you to build a system that is airtight, that everyone honors, and that you remove any discord that could arise if people are still stuck in the old way of thinking based on the old monetary system that is selfish and exploitive. This is based on benevolence, a desire for the well-being of others. And so you exchange because you desire their well-being, and they give you points because they have gratitude for what you have shared. It's a different energy. So we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back to talk more about some of the things that may arise as you transform your thinking and use the currency that everyone has so that you can enrich each other and everyone can live in abundance. We'll be right back after this next break. So we want you, as you ponder service, to stay with us. Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, are we stuck? Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money. And we are back, and you are joining us for part 6 of Service, sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. And this is a system of empowerment in which you are empowering yourself to create your own currency using what everyone has and everyone can share. Every day we say on the Female Solution that we can end crime and violence. All we have to do is share. Well, this is an organized system of sharing and empowering each other and using what we all have so that we can all participate. And you can go to the serviceonline.org. We'll certainly put that up on the screen so that you can continuously refresh your mind, get instructions, watch the instructional videos that explain, as we're explaining in each of these episodes, each of these parts, to walk you through a system of changing thought so that you, pardon me, so that you are empowered and you are able to get what you need without spending so-called money. Because currency is whatever everyone agrees it is. And we always have used something. And it only has value when everyone agrees it has value. So in this system of service, where we have showed you how exchanging points is just the same as if you were sending Cash App on your phone. And you know that $100 can be used to buy things. Well, 100 points can also be used to buy things. Those 100 points that you get from one of your service group members can be used to buy that pair of shoes that you would like to have. And it can be used to buy that toaster that you would like to have. And it can be used to buy that nice chair that you would like to have. All those things that we talked about that your friend has and doesn't need, and so therefore is not circulating. So this is a way to help reduce hoarding or throwing away food that you don't eat, but someone could use. All kinds of things that we waste because we simply have not valued things except when we're suffering, except when we are going through an unexpected difficulty that might lead us to become homeless, or we're going through a difficulty that might cause us to lose a job and we can't spend the money that we used to have. So take a look at this chain of transactions from this service group and think about ways that you can be of service to others. All of the things that you do that people, if they gave you points for, and you could take those points and get what you needed, that's money. That's money because you have defined it as such. You have defined currency. So, this is what we are empowering you to do today. You don't have to join any expensive clubs. You don't have to pay any monthly fees. All you have to do is consider the people that you know, like, and trust, and have them be the foundation of that first service group. Because as your group expands, you will have more people who have more things and more talents that you can circulate. So, once again, we take a look at the circulation of points within this group. And all we're doing is keeping a running transaction. Now, a text chain can get pretty long. So we would say you want to summarize things monthly and start anew so that it doesn't get too cumbersome. But you can go to the serviceonline.org and always get tips on how to refine things so that your group chain is efficient in keeping track. Now, we've spoken in parts 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. We've reiterated how to keep disagreements from happening because everybody's time is worth the same amount of points. 1 point per minute, which means 60 points per hour. So an hour of my time is no more valuable or no less valuable than an hour of your time because we are of equal value. And this is a different way of thinking than the society. Pardon me. So this is why the first thing that's necessary is to change your thinking, to remove the idea of a hierarchy among human beings that makes some people more important than others. No one is more important than anyone else. In order for us to have a fair society, that truth must be understood at the heart level. Because if someone who has an accounting service spends 2 hours doing my taxes, and if I spend 2 hours editing a video, well, I'm using my skill, they're using their skill. So if we're both spending 2 hours, we're both spending the same amount of time. So it's of equal value. Now, if I'm spending 1 hour and my accountant is spending 2 hours, then my 1 hour is worth 60 service points, 1 point per minute. His service points that I owe him are worth 120 points because he spent 2 hours. But it's according to time and not according to the kind of work. And so if everyone honors the system, then there are no arguments. Arguments only arise when people are still holding on to old belief systems based on a monetary system that puts some people in positions of importance above others. This removes that. And in doing so, it creates a society where we may all be fair and just and honest with each other. It's a way of thinking. And this is why service stands for sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. We're voluntarily doing this with each other. But in doing so, we are empowering each other to create an entirely new economy. And the more people are transformed in their thought, the quicker we get to the new earth in which money no longer exists, because it is coming. This is that step to get there. This is a systematic way of making that transition to a moneyless society, where everyone simply gives their time to make the society better in exchange for getting what they need for their survival. If you look at, let's say, an ant colony, nobody's punching a clock, nobody's cashing a paycheck, everyone serves in the capacity that helps the whole. Same thing with a bee hive. All the bees are in the business of collecting nectar, making the honey, whatever their role is in the society, they perform that role. Nobody's punching a clock, nobody's cashing a check, nobody's using a debit or credit card to get what they need. Everybody just cooperates as a collective. And that is the way humanity can operate once we choose to do so. So this is a system for higher conscious beings who are prepared to create the new earth in which we go back to simply helping each other for our mutual benefit. There is no lack on the earth. There is enough for everybody. There's enough land to grow enough food, to make enough clothing and housing. There is enough for everybody. There is enough for everybody to participate in the functioning of the society, even when it comes down to high-level technology. Everybody has the ability to benefit and contribute in some form or fashion to the society's well-being. The more of us that are transformed in our thinking, the quicker we get to a society in which everyone participates and everyone has their needs met, and we are living in peace. We can do this, but you need to start it small groups at a time. So think of those 5 people that you know, like, and trust, because those are the people that will lay the foundation for the service group that will sustain you as much as possible for the things that you need. And at some point, you will realize that this is something you could have been doing all along. The more things you can do within the group, the more you are enriching each other. If you don't have to spend money to get your hair done, you don't have to spend money to get your car fixed, you don't have to spend money to get your plumbing done, you don't have to spend money to get your house cleaning done, you don't have to spend money to get your lawn mowed. because perhaps all of these people with these skills are in your group. That's a major savings. What if you don't have to spend money to get that fur coat that you wanted because somebody just happened to have one and they don't want it, and there you have it? Just think of all the things. You don't have to spend money to get that set of dishes that you need for your kitchen. Somebody in the group has it. So this can be very sophisticated, but it requires time to really evaluate what you have that you're not needing. And if you gave it to someone else, you wouldn't miss it. And in exchange, they're giving you points that you can trade with someone who has something that you do need. It's just like money. And it is money. It's a currency that you have agreed upon. It's a revolutionary concept, and yet it isn't. Because isn't trading the way we functioned in early human life? Yes, of course. We did that. And so in this system, this point system, and we want you to take a look at this, because this is how your service group chain will look as you do your transactions. It's very anonymous, and yet it tells you what you need to know so that you know that the people within your group are in fact using points to transact, and they're enriching each other with what they need. So we want you to envision how you are going to select your service group and begin to empower yourself. And as you go about the process, we want you to refer back to parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go to theserviceonline.org, and you'll get an opportunity to refresh your memory about many of these points that we've made, especially about the kind of character of the people who are going to be in your service group. So we're going to take one last break, and when we come back to wrap up, we challenge you to begin this process of freeing yourself, empowering yourself, enriching yourself by using a currency that everyone has. Everyone can participate. And you can be a forerunner for a whole new way of thinking and the establishment of a new earth. We'll be right back after this last break. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also 3 sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms. Follow us on Facebook And subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3 Black Moms. And we are back. You have been watching part 6 of Service, Sharing Earth's Resources, Voluntarily Implementing Creative Exchange. And this is a system of empowerment. And we want you to be empowered as you prepare your future in being someone who is willing to take a bold step and take back your power to define what money is. Because power is not in the hands of the one who has the most money, but in the one who defines what money is. And this is what you are empowered to do, to decide that you are going to share with those whom you know, like, and trust in an organized fashion, so that what you need is provided for you by those people who are in your group, and you are providing for them. And you are keeping track of what you provide so that you know it is fair. And you know that all of those who are participating are doing so because they have a desire to help each other. And this is what will make you all that much richer and living in abundance. Because all of you are agreeing to the principle that your time is of the same value. And the items that you share, every item is worth a point. Because these are things that you're not using anyway. So, as we have said, if there is something that you think that you don't want to have just 1 point, well, you are free to sell it on the market and get cash for it. But usually these are things you were sitting around. You weren't going to do anything with it anyway. It was going to become garbage because it was eventually just going to rust or rot or whatever. So rather than you hoard, circulate. Circulate the things that people need. So grateful that you have watched us. And if you've missed any editions, we've been on the alternative Wednesday evening. We'll be back next month with an exciting Wednesday evening show. And we certainly do encourage you to go to theserviceonline.org and review all of those parts so that you can get ready to launch your service group and you can create your own currency and empower yourself to live abundantly. I'm Naima Latif. Join us back here in the morning for Master Force with Mu Shamsu. And until that time, we want you to continue to shine your light. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jareth. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.